Hey everybody, welcome to Comics All Mode, the podcast where we talk about comics, movies, TV, gaming. Did I already mention
movies?
comics? Everything geek culture and nerd entertainment. I am your host, Russ, and with me, as always, every single week is Landon. What's up, dude? How are we doing?
Hey, man. I'm good. Hopefully every single week. If there was
Someone's
ever a
tired.
week where I'd be like, dude, I can't make it today, it would have been this one, but I'm here. We're eating ice cream with a fork.
Hey, man.
Skip dinner.
Sometimes you gotta do
right now.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I get it. I've been in that spot, the last couple weeks, but dude, yeah, we're here. We made it. Welcome, guys. To the four of you that watch this show, and my mother, which hilariously enough, she mentioned again. She was like, "Wow, you really it." She was like listening, and then I shouted her out, and so that was pretty funny.
Love that support. Speaking of support, I have a quick shout out to give.
Yeah, do it.
I was speaking to a friend of mine named Amber. She checked out the show recently, so
nice.
Props to her. Shout out to her, Amber. Thanks for watching. We love the support. Hope you continue listening, and yeah, that's maybe one solid new listener. So
heck yeah. As you guys can see behind me, the wall is almost finished. We're missing one small section.
Dude, the wall is getting filled up there.
I can't do this.
One small section reminds me of Tetris. You've got like the blocks falling, but that's kind of how it's felt. It's like, where do I want this one to drop? And it's just
the Avengers Endgame poster is there. It's not how I'm gonna have it, but I literally was just like, I was getting tired. I was getting tired of seeing the blank space there, and so I decided to fill it. Once I fill in the last hole on the bottom, I'll put the other Avengers poster up there. Yeah, the cool thing is like the one thing I do love about it is like it is a absolute smorgasbord of comics. Like you got Walking Dead up there. You got
I see that Batman issue 127 up there.
Yeah,
great
just
issue.
Just his face. You got some Captain America.
Crazy
you got
Batman.
You got Berserk down there, which is the the guy who plays John Wick.
Yeah, Keanu
Reeves. It's the Keanu Reeves comic. You got Hulk, you got everything going on up there. So that's been fun. But hey, welcome to the show. Yeah, we've got a lot to go over. As you remember last week, we literally only talked D23. So we have some stuff to catch up on. It has been a busy week for both of us. So Landon hasn't been able to catch up on a couple of things, which is okay. We the best part about this show is we're doing it because we love doing this. And so, sometimes we're less prepared than, other times. And it's just, we want to be here because we enjoy talking about this stuff, even if, we're a little behind. But we're going to talk comics first because
Russ is very excited about a certain issue.
I'm very excited. So if you've been listening to this show for any time, what are we eating? Oh,
I gotta rep the Ben and Jerry's Tonight Dough.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is like they have this, I don't know, series or brand, what you call this, but all the different late night talk show hosts have their own Ben and Jerry's ice cream flavor. So this is Jimmy Fallon because it's the Tonight Dough. Haha. It's got caramel and chocolate ice cream with chocolate cookie swirls, gobs of chocolate chip cookie dough, and peanut butter cookie dough.
Yum!
All in that can.
I might have to check that out.
It is.
That sounds amazing.
Crack and ice cream mixed together. That sounds amazing. Unbelievable.
I'm trying to fix
it was my birthday yesterday, so I picked some up.
Yes,
I should be on a diet.
It was Landon's birthday. Everybody, I want to see happy birthdays in the comments of this YouTube video.
I had a great day, so I'm already satisfied. But
yeah, so I am super excited about this comic. I've been waiting for this comic for a while. If you know me and know my comic history, okay, you know what? Usually I have these windows set up and I'm screwing it up. If you know me, it's me messing with my whole window computer settings. If you know me, you know that one of my favorite runs all time is the Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman Venom run. It's one of my favorite runs of all time. I think Donny Cates is one of my favorite writers of all time. He's writing Thor right now and Hulk, which are two books now that I'm having to pick up because it's Donny Cates. So I will pick up anything Donny Cates. And Ryan Stegman is my favorite artist of all time right now in comics. He just kills it. I just love. He's very moody. He's very like, if my photography was like the themes of my photography could be put into like words, it's very much the same kind of how he draws. It's very moody. It's very rich and everything.
Oh, sweet.
I love that. A couple months ago, actually probably a year at this point, as they were finishing their run on Venom, they announced that something was coming, that they were Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman were both working on something. And I was already like, all right, I'm down. You sign me up. I honestly don't care what it is.
It doesn't matter. Russ is going to be there.
So they announced it. It's called Vanish. I'm going to get this right in the camera so you can see it. Oh, love a good, reflection. There we go. Vanish. Also sick. just covers bad. Cover is
number
bad,
one. Yeah.
Is badass. This is the number one. It came out today. This book is okay. I have to pull it out and I have to show you guys some panels
show it off, man.
It is for a first issue. Oh, it's like magic / hardcore metal / a little bit of rock when it comes to like just what is going on in this book. And like Stegman is just drawing the crap out of this book. It is awesome. Absolutely insane. One of the things is the character has long hair, and Stegman drew Eddie Brock having long hair at one point during their run.
Oh yeah, long-haired Eddie Brock with the beard and everything.
One of the things that every time when I see that, I go, "Oh my gosh, I need Stegman to draw a Winter Soldier book." Ooh. It would be so badass. It's not even funny. Okay,
Russ, you would probably buy every single copy for yourself.
I would buy every single thing.
I would Stegman on Winter Soldier.
I would keep Stegman, just his lifestyle set, because I would be essentially just paying him, honestly. One day. That's a goal of mine, would be one day to find a comic signing that he is at and go to and get something signed. Maybe Vanish.
You know what I'm thinking of right now?
That would be amazing. What's up?
I'm thinking of the current Captain America run is fantastic. I don't have an issue. I do actually. Who's on it? We got Kelly, Lanzig, Carnero, and Woodard. Team of 4.
The artist is great on that book.
Great. Love that book. Love the team behind Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America. I was thinking, though, the meme that was going around when Wonder Woman 1984 or whatever that movie was, a Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. He's like, life's good, but it can be better. It's like, this is good, but it could be better, with Stegman on it and Winter Soldier and everything. That'd be pretty sick. But
oh, that would be cool. I think if I wanted Stegman on a book, I don't know if I want him on Captain America. I would want him on a Winter Soldier solo book where he's going undercover.
Here, but like,
actually, the artist that is on this book, actually, I love how he draws Winter Soldier. I think he does a really good job.
I thought you said Stegman was a writer. Is he a writer or an artist?
Stegman is an artist. Donny Cates is the writer. Sure. Actually, funny story. I hopped onto one of his live streams because I listened to their podcast, because they did a podcast together, Stegman and Donny Cates. And I jumped on a live stream with Donny Cates and his wife, and I actually asked him a question about if he had a Venom tattoo, and he saw my question and was like, "Yeah, I do," and like showed off the Venom tattoo that he had. So that was pretty cool. Okay, so this book is like a mixture between superheroes and freaking Harry Potter.
Vanish.
Harry Potter. So
magic. Nice.
Yeah. So it starts off, you get this whole explanation that essentially there is you have the real world, and then you have this. It's like segmented off. So you have the Mistlands of Everkeep and the outworld of Magic. And so it's like above the clouds, essentially. So they're completely like different from the humans, essentially. You know, same thing, kind of that same idea with Harry Potter.
Sure.
That they're separated.
It's present, but you can't see it. It's inaccessible to normal people.
Exactly. And then on top of that, there's a school that essentially trains all of these kids to become magicians. The guy that we're following, and
it's like Hogwarts meets Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Yeah, that's literally that's how it feels like. I can't remember his name. What is his name? Please hold.
Sorry,
Oliver.
That was really bad timing because I took a bite, which was
that's why I did this. That's why I did just random.
And then you were looking, and I was like, "Oh, I should be talking."
His name's Oliver. Yeah, so his name's Oliver.
Vanish's real name is Oliver.
So
like his identity.
So we're gonna get to that. So So there's this Hogwarts school. There's all these magicians. And they are essentially they're coming up to a battle. They're coming up to a battle against this Baron Vanish. So we'll get to the why what the actual meaning of this all is in a bit. So this Baron Vanish was like the prized pupil of the main headmaster. He turned evil and then comes back with his followers to attack the school, right? So very, very, all your stereotypes just very like right there, which is completely fine. Stegman's art is amazing. It's really interesting how they're playing this.
For sure.
The Baron Vanish kills the headmaster and is about to murder all the children. But what we find out is that Oliver is one of the classmates and he is disobeying like the rules. They have two rules. One, you don't go to what do they call? I think they call the humans
meat bags.
What do they call the humans?
I remember why is it always like the evil killer robots that always call the humans meat bags? I can recall two examples, which is one of those situations where it's like, it's kind of weird that it happened twice. Cause like, I think Young Justice had a villain that was a robot, Red Volcano, I think. He called the humans meat bags. And then you have...
they call it the citizenry. They call them the citizenry.
HK-47 is the other one.
Oh, okay.
There you go. I was trying to fill in some time. I was like, don't take a bite. I know Russ is looking.
You're good. So there's like two rules. Don't go into this one room that has all of the world ending things. And two, don't go to the citizenry or bring anything back from the citizenry. Oliver, who's part of this Ravenclaw, like essentially he's part of one of the Hufflepuff, or not the Hufflepuff, the Hogwarts houses. His parents were a part of they were like the first line of defense against this Baron Vanish, and his entire house was murdered. Just everybody that he knew and loved murdered, except for his like friends, like that he was in school with. But like all of the magicians that were of this one house got just destroyed. Both his parents murdered. So he goes, he breaks both rules. He goes to the room that you should not go in. And essentially it's a Palantir that he grabs, that he finds, and essentially shows you the future, which and that's what a Palantir does in Lord of the Rings. He grabs that. But then the second thing is he goes to the citizenry and brings something back. This Baron Vanish is about to murder everyone, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm sorry, kids, you can either surrender to me or I'm going to murder you. And then all of a sudden Oliver shows up and we find out what is the thing that he brought back from the citizenry or just the regular humans. He brings a gun. He brought a pistol back and just shoots the guy in the head. So like, because
Baron Vanish?
Baron Vanish
just
is like
shoots him straight up.
Baron Vanish is like, you're not going to be able to hurt me with any of your magic. And he's like, screw magic.
I don't have magic.
Just bam.
Dead.
And so then all of his minions, they disappear. And Oliver's pissed. He's like, no, come back here. I need to enact my revenge.
Hunt all of you down.
So that's all backstory that we find out as...
I love that moment, though.
It's literally so funny.
Bam. I'm done.
So that's all backstory, because the story opens up with Oliver being drunk. He bought 2 6-packs, so that way when he gets home, he can tell his wife that he only bought 1 to drink, and then he already drank the 1 on the walk back. And he gets mugged, essentially. This superhero comes out of the woodwork called like Rocket Boy or something real dumb. Or
it's always funny in comic books that are not Marvel. Rocket. It's always funny in comics that are not Marvel or DC. Namely, I'm thinking of like The Boys and Invincible. Yeah. It's like they have to have these big, larger than life superheroes with these iconic names, but like all the good stuff is taken. So you get stuff like just some random
Battle Rocket.
Like, okay.
So then
Omni-Man.
This kid, and he looks like a kid too, which is funny. Yeah. So he comes in and he literally murders these guys who were mugging him. Well, the thing is, Oliver, one of the things that at the school, they get this sigil that's seared into their chest. And the point of it is that it starts to burn bright whenever evil is around. Oh, okay. And what Oliver realizes is that his sigil is starting to burn. And what he realizes is that this battle rocket is actually one of Baron Vanish's minions.
Wow. Okay.
And so he ends up murdering this guy and
get the gun back out. Open the safe, get the gun back
out. He actually murders him with magic.
Oh, okay.
And
he's learning.
Essentially then takes his magic from him. And what he finds out when he's talking to this guy before he like finishes the job is that all of Baron Vanish's minions are on Earth and they're masquerading as heroes.
Oh, like
so at the end of the issue, he goes, you know what? If they're gonna masquerade as heroes, then I'm gonna be the villain. And he like puts on his cloak and pulls a mask up, and he is essentially he's going to take the name Vanish and be the villain of the story, even though he's technically the hero of the story.
So he's the protagonist.
He's the protagonist, but
people see him as the villain.
But because he's going to be going after these heroes,
right?
He's going to be the villain. Like the world is going to think of him as the
that's
villain.
What I'm saying. Like he's the protagonist of the comic for us readers.
And he's also technically the hero too, because he's actually going against really bad people.
Yeah, for sure.
But in his
public perception
of
him is skewed.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
minions got all the power.
I'm so down.
That's a great premise.
It is such a cool premise. I'm super excited to see where they take it. Hopefully this turns into more like an Invincible and stuff where we get a lot of different, I really just hope that, Stegman and Donny Cates just take this and go with it for a while. Cause I think this is a really cool. And the other book that I was reading that's like not DC and Marvel is coming to an end this October. And so I really like the idea of having something that's not DC or Marvel that I'm really invested in, and this is going to be fun.
This is an Image property. It looks like.
Yeah, it's Image. Yeah.
I think the only outside comic brand that I read, Star Wars used to put out Dark Horse comics back in the day. I think Dark Horse recently reacquired or made a deal with Disney and Marvel.
I think they're
getting the Star Wars brand back. That's
they're
cool.
getting some ability to do stuff. You should get have you checked out the Mandalorian comics?
By the way, I'm gonna read this.
Yes.
That sounds awesome. Like
it is badass. The art is fantastic. It looks amazing.
This character.
Yeah, it's
like the
you know what
it reminds me of? James Gunn penned a movie a couple years back where it was like a dark Superman story. Bro, that the costume of Vanish looked almost like identical to that kid. What was that guy's name? Blind
Bright
Spot,
Bite,
Brightburn.
Brightburn. Thank you. Yep,
Yeah,
that's the one.
sick. He's got the
Um,
glowing eyes, magic
yeah.
hands.
So that one's
Can't go
badass.
wrong.
I'm trying. Amazing Spider-Man from last week was good. Again, we talked about the fact that it was Roberto Jimenez came back and did the art, or not Roberto Jimenez. Although I really love his art as for Spider-Man. Is a different guy who came back and did the art for Spider-Man. He was on
Wells, Gleason,
Gleason. Gleason did the art for Spider-Man this issue. And again, like we've been saying, please, for God's sake, take what's his name off of Spider-Man.
Wouldn't be comics a la mode without crapping all over John Romita Jr.'s work.
Yeah, take Romita Jr. off of Spider-Man. Put him on something else. Just take him off of Spider-Man. He doesn't need to be on Spider-Man. And I understand he's like a legacy artist for Spider-Man, but just stop it. It doesn't look good.
Bro, I've not read I didn't read my comics at all. I already told Russ before the show. I'm like, dude, I'm behind. I have my comics just sitting here from last week when I walked in. I didn't even pick up my new comics today, man. I was on a shoot and like I feel bad, but I really want to read that Daredevil issue. Like you said, great. Amazing Spider-Man. I love Daredevil right now. So
we talked about I've said because I've been keeping up with Punisher, I've said that Punisher and Daredevil are on a collision course.
Yeah,
because
sure.
Punisher currently in his run is the beast of, or the fist of the hand, or the hand of the hand, the beast of the hand of the fist. Everybody has a fist and a hand and a beast at this point.
I think in the Netflix show they were called fingers, so they're all fists and fingers and hands. And
he's not the fingers of the hand because that would be weird. But he is like the leader of the hand right now, and I have been saying that they are on a collision course, and this issue sets that up. And I'm very excited to see what happens. It's the payoff isn't going to be probably for a couple issues, but this is the setup, and it was hype. I'm very excited. We get a little bit of some interaction between Daredevil and Luke Cage, which is really good, especially because Luke Cage is now the mayor of New York. And I think that's such a cool development.
I actually read that in the recent issue of Judgment Day, which is the Avengers X-Men Eternals crossover. The Arishem, the judge who is revived by the Avengers, this book does a really cool thing where it has like a panel dedicated to each character. I think last week I showed you the Victor Von Doom panel where it's like Arishem, the judge, was like, I look at Victor Von Doom, I judge him. He's like, nobody judges me. And he's like, okay, fine. That's fine. Doom can do whatever he wants. But one of the panels was Luke Cage. It was like, I judge the mayor of New York City, and he has no comment, thumbs down. So what's Luke Cage doing as the mayor? That's pretty cool.
He took over. It was part of the Devil's Reign arc.
Oh, that makes sense.
That essentially they were like, hey, we need someone to run against Kingpin. Because we need to get Kingpin out of office. And Tony Stark was like, well, yeah, of course it's going to be me. And everybody's like, Tony, we love you, but like, you're not the right fit. We need someone who like...
Too much ego.
Who's like Cage is such a good dude in the Marvel universe. He's a family man. He's a father. He's just a very good dude. And so it was just like, we need Luke. We need you to run. And he was like, all right, fine. And so then he won. But yeah, so the Daredevil issue was really good. Very excited for that. I'm trying to think.
Any other comics?
Did I read anything else?
What about news? We have some news, right? We have one piece of news.
Some of the news is like Fantastic Four got a writer, so we're excited to see what it's nobody we know. Like it's pretty much just nobodies.
I didn't recognize them.
Cool. I'm excited to see what they can do. Next, please give us the cast already. Although
looks like Feige and company are really turning towards the Fantastic Four.
I did see a rumor that Marvel's decided to go in a different direction with Mr. Fantastic and not choose Krasinski. And that's something we've kind of figured for a while. It really did feel like, you know, they were like, hey, it's like, why, like, Doctor Strange is going to give us our best option to just kind of throw this as the fan casting.
Yeah, multiverse. Have fun with it, you know? Throw in a very popular fan cast, call it a day. He can show up again. You know, we got Secret Wars on the way. Krasinski's a very talented actor. I'm sure that won't be the last.
I'm sad that he's
Council of
not.
Reeds.
Yeah,
Bro,
exactly.
Hickman's Council of Reed Richards. That's gotta be something. I don't know.
True. I'm sad that we're not going to see him probably as Fantastic or Mr. Fantastic. I really like his cast. I love him as an actor. So I'm like, I would really like to see him, but I get it. Other pieces of news. I mean, Call of Duty beta is starting in 2 days. So I'm excited to play that. Cool. And we're getting closer to Gotham Knights is really kind of the big thing.
That's true. You know what? I saw a really great image of Mr. Freeze recently. Yeah. They put out like a promotional image of him. Cool redesign. I gotta say his proportions look a little bit weird. Have you seen the Mr. Freeze design for Gotham Knights at all?
I've seen pieces of it. It doesn't. I don't know kind of what you mean proportions wise because I didn't look. I don't
know what I mean by proportion wise. It looks like his head is too small. Just straight up, his arms, it's like he's in a big mechanical suit. It's like, but they got the domed glass helmet thing, so that looks great. I mean, that's classic Mr. Freeze right there. You can do whatever you want as long as you have those elements, right? The red eyes. But his head is in this glass case, and then the rest of his mechanized suit is just like 2 sizes too big for the way his head looks. I don't know. I'll show you a picture of this concept art, but he's been in a couple like gameplay trailers and stuff, so he's been around, but I don't know what his purpose is.
Had him in quite a few things.
They had a new trailer too that showcased the Harley Quinn design for Gotham Knights. Did you see that? What'd you think?
Really cool. I really like the Harley Quinn redesign. I think that looks really cool. I didn't
mind it. I thought, I don't know, there's some things that I wouldn't do, and I don't agree with the design, but for the most part, it looks like a sound iteration.
So I like what I like that they're doing is they're going, all right, what happens to these certain Batman villains when there's no longer any Batman? I think that's really cool to me. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. But yeah, I mean, we got that coming. We got Midnight Suns coming. They just announced another Iron Man game. I think it's going to be VR is what I saw. So yeah, so that's a little bit news wise. Cool. We got. Did you watch She-Hulk?
Did I watch She-Hulk? I think so.
From last week, I know.
I did.
I know. Dude,
because it was the episode before Daredevil. Which, oh my gosh, tomorrow we're definitely getting Daredevil. I say this every week, but it's like they keep. I don't know. She got her super suit and everything, and
that was really
Titania, cool. She was in court or something.
Yeah, so Titania. Right? So essentially, Titania was taking her to court for using the word She-Hulk, or the name She-Hulk, because Titania was using it as a brand of like cosmetics, which
she bought the licensure before Jen Walters could. I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, that was a smart thing.
It was a good episode. It was fun. It wasn't too terribly boring. It wasn't too terribly weird or like lefty, honestly.
No, I like. I really like Jamila Jamil. She was in a little series on Netflix called The Good Place. She's great in that show. She's very funny. She's got a fantastic Twitter presence. I follow her. She's very fun.
Nice.
Like Titania, the only like reference I know of Titania is I think at one point she was Absorbing Man's wife. Don't know much about either of those characters. And then she was heavily involved in Secret Wars, like the OG Secret Wars. She was one of the villains that got transported to the battle world. But outside of that, I don't know who this character is. So, but it seems like they're going way in a different direction. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's fine with me. Honestly, I don't know of any hardcore Titania fans who are like, why are you making her an influencer and stuff? It's fine.
True. I don't really have anything more to say. Like, again, we've said it multiple times. She-Hulk isn't terrible. It also isn't great. It's kind of just run of the mill, very just there.
not our thing. But like, I do agree that I thought last week was a good episode. Now that I'm recalling what I watched,
like,
I liked, like I said, I like Jamila Jamil.
Out of all the episodes, I think that's my favorite.
I think so too. And the guy who does the costumes for superheroes was kind of fun because you got really references to other characters and stuff. Right. And sorry, it was Jen Walters' two friends that kind of put her on the track towards this Taylor, the superhero Taylor guy. And then at the end of the episode, it's because Pug, the guy who played Prometheus in Arrow, he's going after these Iron Man 40s or something, like the shoes, which I thought was funny how
they made a joke on like the shoe culture.
The shoe culture, like Iron what we would assume people are going after the Air Jordans and the Air Force Ones and the Kanyes and stuff. They've obviously got Tony Stark shoes and Iron Man shoes and superhero shoes. And then at the end credits, when it's drawing everything, Pug's closet is just full of shoes that are superhero themed, but not just MCU characters. I mean, we're talking Moon Knight. He's got Punisher shoes. He's got Deadpool shoes, Wolverine shoes. Nice. The Thing from the Fantastic Four has shoes up there. I don't think it means anything, but it was a fun like little Easter egg that obviously people took way too far. They're like, oh, this is our first introduction of Deadpool. And like, come on, it's just
no, guys,
fine. Relax, it's not anything. Relax. Chill out.
No, that's fun. Actually, it's funny because they did something similar. In Endgame, they did something similar in Endgame when they made the joke about ice cream, and they made the joke about, or maybe it wasn't Endgame. It might have been Infinity War. They made the joke about the Hulk smash, like the Ben and Jerry's Hulk smash or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I love when they do little stuff like that, where it's like, oh yeah, this is how the world kind of changes because of the superheroes and because of how famous a lot of these people are. I think that's really cool. But yeah. Other than that, like, I'm excited to see how Daredevil comes into this show.
Me too. Tomorrow morning, man, we'll find out.
We got the little tease to the helmet.
We did, yeah.
From the super suit maker,
which seems kind of weird because the vibe that I got off of from the Superhuman Taylor shop and also just the She-Hulk series in general is like the total opposite of the Daredevil Netflix stuff. So they're either going to do this really well and integrate him that makes sense, it's going to be smartly done, or it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be nothing like. It's just going to be Daredevil in name and look, and I might be severely disappointed, but either way, he's coming back. So here we go. I'm excited. Either way,
yeah. I don't know. I think it's fine. There was nothing in there that said that was like, oh, we're gonna completely change Daredevil. It was just
I would happily eat my words on this.
He got his super suit from this guy. That's all.
I'm looking for something to praise with She-Hulk, so I'm looking for excuses to praise the show because I don't like crapping all over anything. But yeah, so those are our thoughts on She-Hulk. What else? What else we got?
Well, so then let's talk about House of Dragon. We had 2 episodes. There's not a ton to talk about from the first episode.
Episode 4. I think episode 5 aired last
episode 5
Sunday.
And that great honestly episode. That was a big episode.
Yeah, a lot to talk about there.
So
the only thing that really is a holdover that we didn't talk about from episode 4. Obviously, we know at this point, listeners, if you've heard our commentary on the show so far, you know the connections between Rhaenyra and Daemon, House Targaryen, House Hightower, the Corlys Velaryon, and all the war in the Stepstones. That's all been done. That's all, and everything is still ablaze with like the implications of war and everything. King Viserys Targaryen is still around. Each episode, he just gets more and more decayed. This episode in particular, episode 5, is like the linchpin. Like he is just on the verge of collapse.
This dude's
but all those relationships are still tumultuous. But episode 4 really was scandalous because Daemon and Rhaenyra Targaryen were seen throughout the brothels of King's Landing together, which obviously Otto Hightower's spies caught on to that, started developing these rumors about incest in the family and everything, the royal family, which is not good. And then Alicent Hightower heard of it. Now she's pissed at Rhaenyra for the implication that she was with Daemon and all this stuff. And this episode really culminated in everything just coming to a boiling point with all that.
The biggest thing with episode 4 was that at the end of that episode, Rhaenyra was like, "Hey, you know what?" Because
they talked about it.
Her dad was like, "All right, you know what? Screw it. You are going to do your duty as princess, and you are going to marry someone that I choose."
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra was finally like, "All right, fine, I'll do my duty, but then you need to do yours. You can no longer trust Otto Hightower because he has ulterior motives. All of his motives are trying to get his grandkid on the throne." True. And that really opened up
Viserys was able to see that
eyes, and that really opened up his eyes. And so then it all culminates with him having a conversation with Otto, being like, "Hey, you know what? I appreciate everything you've done for me as a friend and for the realm, but
Hightower's out, man.
No longer trust you." And that was such a huge moment because that happened, but also B, his daughter was there, heard about it and found out.
Further strife between Alicent Hightower, Otto's daughter, and Rhaenyra, who is kind of the reason for why Otto was fired, and Viserys firing him and everything. So that carries over into a really brilliant scene in episode 5 where Otto Hightower is leaving King's Landing, right? The rain and everything is pouring down. We get a nice little moment between Alicent and Otto as he's leaving. Alicent comes out to say goodbye to her father. And this is a scene where I was watching it and I was expecting, Otto's going to be such a bad dad here. He's going to scold his daughter. He's going to say, keep your power at any cost. Rey is your son, Aegon. You're going to have to go against Rhaenyra. He's going to, try to put these two friends at even more of a crossroads than they already are, which kind of happens. He does warn Alicent that war is coming. You must prepare Aegon to rule. But he also shows his tender side to his daughter. He envelops her in a hug. He does genuinely seem to care about Alicent, although he does have his motives and everything. And unlike Tywin Lannister, he does care and love Alicent as his daughter. That was great. Love that. Unfortunately, Otto is not in the rest of the episode, which is probably for the best considering what goes down. But
he had
a great scene. I love that.
One of the things that I will say, though, is that his presence is definitely felt throughout this episode. I still really felt his presence, especially when we get to this episode. I want to say there was a time there. It felt like there was a time jump mid episode. But essentially what ends up happening
is always a little bit of time that passes.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much.
We had on the ship, they were taking Rhaenyra and Viserys are taking a ship to see the sea dragon.
The sea dragon. What did they call? Oh, their castle was amazing. It's called High Tide.
Yeah, High Tide. And it is so cool.
They even mention in the series, Viserys is like, I'm cooped up in King's Landing all the time, but it never ceases to amaze me, the walls of High Tide. And he mentions it. He's like, this place is gorgeous. Damn.
And Valerians do well. Their realm is called Driftmark, or the city is called Driftmark. Also another cool ass name.
Oh, great name. The Valerians themselves.
This whole time, Viserys is sick. He is not doing well. And then when they get to Driftmark, he is ready to keel over. He is not doing well. But he's like, "Hey, you know what? I think we need to be joined in marriage. Your son should marry my daughter." And the sea dragon is like, "Yeah, sure." But he also kind of pushes Viserys a lot in their conversation, and he's like, "So when this goes down, does
Does my boy become king, or like
do they get to keep their name,
Valerian name? Yeah.
or are they Targaryens? And the king is like,
I see
yeah.
what you mean. I see right through you, Corliss. I know
Like,
what you're going
this
at.
is like, and that's the cool part is like Viserys is very much. He's a very smart guy. Like
He is smart. He just
one of the things like
as much
as much as like it's very obvious he is not the king that the Iron Throne needs. He is very much still a smart king and
a good man.
And a good man, and can tell when people are trying to play him. Like he can really tell. Like I really like his characterization. I think and because then he also has a very soft side towards his daughter. He loves his daughter, but he also is then torn between doing his duty as king and then also being a father, which I think it shows just like how the Iron Throne really demands you to be of one sole purpose. And I think that's one of the biggest things that this show has shown so far is that the problem with Viserys is that he should not be ruling the Iron Throne because he is not of one sole purpose. He is of many purposes. He is caught between these two worlds of being a father, being, a friend, being that, and then being king, and knowing that nobody has your back when you're king. Everybody is looking for something to gain and so forth. So that's really cool to me.
The other thing about you mentioned like a good thing about the series was that they have these conversations and everything. I was going to say another thing is just there's layers to the dialogue going on here. Like just this one small scene between Viserys, Corlys, and Viserys Targaryen's cousin Rhaenys, or Rhaenys, I forget her name, but she was the queen that never was, right? Because it was
right.
I think King Baelor Targaryen had a choice between Rhaenys Targaryen, his daughter, or Viserys Targaryen, his nephew, maybe. I forget the lineage, but Rhaenys comes in. She is very vibrant and happy, and I think it was genuine as well. She was genuinely glad to see her cousin. The actress who plays Rhaenys is very good, but just the three of these characters, these very important characters, there's a conversation happening between the three of them, which is the surface level conversation. Like, yes, we will accept the wedding between House Valerian and House Targaryen. That's all well and good. On the surface, it seems fine. But then there's these subtle undertones of like, listen, we are the Valerians. We are just as powerful as the Targaryens, if not more so. We have Driftmark. We have this amazing navy. We have dragons. We could rival the Targaryens. And this could be the impetus for the rise of House Valerian within Westeros. Sure. And are you, Viserys, going to allow that to happen? And that's like the subtle undertone of the whole conversation. And like you said, Viserys is like, no, I see through you.
Yeah.
They come to an agreement, though. Viserys is like, we will continue House Targaryen.
Yeah, essentially all of their kids except for the one to become heir are going to be able to have the Valerian name, and the one that is the heir, the minute he becomes king, he takes the Targaryen name.
Yes.
Which at the end of the day is like, Sea Dragon didn't get exactly what he wanted.
He's close though. I gotta believe when the Dance of Dragons comes around, man, you gotta watch out for House Valerian. And I'm still not quite sure. I've tried not to spoil it for myself, but I can't remember exactly who's on whose side. Right? We have the blacks and the greens. Yeah.
All I know is I do remember one thing because I've been rewatching Game of Thrones at the same time. So I've been
hitting some episodes here and there.
Slowly but surely, I've been trying to rewatch it. Yeah. There's a scene with Joffrey as he's walking Lady Marjorie through the halls, and he's like, and that's where Queen Princess Rhaenyra's body is, or half charred body is laying because her brother killed her by having his dragon breathe fire on her. Yeah. And like, oh, okay, so
we're going to always go down.
That's going to happen. So really good episodes. This, and then
let's talk about the
even through this episode. So then we get to the ceremony. We get to the wedding ceremony, and this wedding ceremony is lit. First off, one of the things we find out about and I can never remember anybody's names except for Rhaenyra's at this point.
Who you got? Who are you trying to say?
Valerian kid. What's his name?
Laenor. Valerian.
One of the things we find out about Laenor is he bats for the other team.
Yeah, what was the metaphor that Rhaenyra said on their conversation on the beach? Some people prefer duck, some people prefer turkey, or like something. Laenor prefers that. He's gay.
I prefer duck and you prefer goose.
Duck and goose, exactly. Yeah. But like Rhaenyra was kind of hinting like she has a side piece too. It's like we'll wed formally, but like on the side, let's just do our own thing. I'm not into it.
So one of the things we found out in episode 4 is that her Knight Protector is her side piece. He has completely foregone his oaths and has been secretly hooking up with Rhaenyra.
Yeah, as a white cloak, you're
it's not as a knight.
Can't be doing that.
So, so we get to the ceremony, and so we have Laenor's Knight Protector, who happens to also be his side piece, and then we have Rhaenyra's Knight Protector, who is her
drama.
And
like a Kardashians episode up in here, man.
Dude, yeah, like this is exactly that. And Laenor's side piece literally instantly realizes, oh, hey, that knight and Rhaenyra are hooking up. Yeah. And Laenor's like, huh? And he's like, just believe me. And he's like, as long as you know her secret, you're safe because she'll keep yours.
And then at the wedding, you know what the friend, Laenor's friend, right? You know what his name is? Did you catch what his name was? Dude, his name is Joffrey. His name is Joffrey. And
something.
It's hilarious because dudes stay losing when they're named Joffrey, man. At the end of this episode, Kristen Cole goes off on him. But yeah, Joffrey holds that information above Kristen Cole's head. Yeah. And this is after
Kristen Cole and tells him. That's the part.
He's like, dude, this is a threat. Straight up.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I mean, you're talking to a member of the King's Guard, right? You'd think he'd be a little smarter than that, but no, he was feeling himself that night. He's like, I'm going to hang this over your head, Kristen Cole. But I was going to say, this comes after a very important scene with Alicent Hightower and Kristen Cole. Because Alicent is looking for the truth when it comes to Rhaenyra and her virginity as queen, right? That's very important that you keep that solid and true and right, which Alicent suspects Rhaenyra of foul play. So she goes to Kristen Cole, who is her Knight Protector, looking for information. Kristen Cole thinks that he is in trouble, so he just straight up confesses to it because he is racked with guilt. And then so now that Kristen Cole knows that Alicent Hightower knows that he's in trouble, he is just swirling. So when Joffrey comes up to him, this little dude that means nothing, Kristen Cole's never heard of him, comes up with this information, using it as blackmail. He goes off. Dude has a fire that just
lights a match,
rips into shreds.
So he does this, and you can just see Kristen Cole
straight up.
His face is just like crazy. He's just
there is no face.
He just like bam. Just like stone cold.
Yeah,
and
loved it.
He's standing there, and the king starts his speech. One of the things that we find out during the ceremony is Alicent Hightower is not at the ceremony yet because they were like trying to figure out where the queen was, and she was still getting ready. Late.
Or declaring war, depending on how you look at it.
So that's the thing. She shows up to the ceremony mid king speech.
Yeah,
and she is wearing emerald green. Now, you might not see that as like important, but someone else makes a note. I can't remember who. I think it might have been Joffrey actually, or someone does.
Possible.
That when the Hightowers go to war,
it's probably Daemon.
No, Daemon doesn't say anything. Daemon's after, after the fact. I thought he was after the fact. When the Hightowers go to war, they like hold up their banner as emerald green. And so in a lot of cases, this is Alicent Hightower saying, hey, subtly saying, just FYI, my kid is going to be the heir. I don't care. She no longer cares about Rhaenyra. Like it is very, it's especially what it's hey, Rhaenyra lied to me. And so now, you know what? All the gloves are off. I don't care. Like I'm done. My kid is going to be king. And especially after the fact that her dad just has a conversation with her about like, hey, you know what? If Rhaenyra becomes queen, the only way to successfully make sure that sticks is that no other claims to the throne are existent. And so that's where your kid, your son, is going to either need to be protected or he's going to get killed. He's going to be killed.
And at this point, Viserys and Alicent have 2 children together. So Otto is like, your whole family is going to get slaughtered because Rhaenyra is not going to be challenged.
Exactly. And so that's really cool. Like the subtlety in that is really awesome.
Bro, this whole wedding sequence was just full of who is going to side with who when war erupts. And Alicent Hightower's entrance in her emerald green dress just was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Because now Laenor and Rhaenyra are married, and next episode is going to further the timeline, right? Because now we have the older actresses.
Yeah, because I was going to say that was the last episode with
the young actresses.
That actress who played Rhaenyra.
Well, not only Rhaenyra and Alicent, but also Laenor Targaryen, or Laenor Valerian. Sorry, all the Valerian kids are getting aged up.
Gotcha.
Matt Smith is staying the same as Daemon. Viserys,
but also like that was the other thing is that Daemon killed his wife.
Bro, Daemon's whole story in this episode seems like it's just its own thing, but that is also going to have crazy consequences because suddenly Daemon inherits, what does he inherit, the Veil or the Reach or something? Since his wife died, right?
Yeah.
He gets her inheritance, which is a crazy important piece of land in Westeros.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what goes forward. This is something. So previously, what was it? Whatever episode we also talked about Rings of Power. I said that I'm really happy that the Rings of Power and House of Dragon are coming out at the same time. I think I'm gonna annul that statement. I don't know. Is that the right word?
Rescind
that statement.
Just take it back.
Because I'm actually kind of getting annoyed that the two shows are coming out at the same time. Because the problem for me, I am that person that content in general I am excited about, and especially when it's two things that I enjoy a lot. I'm excited that both of them are coming out because I like seeing the difference. The problem is,
I do too.
A lot of people are instantly biased towards one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have been hearing a lot of is all of this like, oh my God, like House of Dragon is so cool, which it is. And I love the show so far. But then instantly, the minute someone brings up Rings of Power, it's, oh, I don't want to watch that because it felt boring. It looks boring.
Mm-hmm.
Or oh, this, that, or the other. And it's like, okay.
I hear that a lot, yeah.
But, and like, it's been annoying me a lot lately because it's like, all right, but you know, you're not even like the people who are saying it are not giving the other shows a chance because they are so enthralled with one show that they're not willing to give the other show a chance to see how they stack up against each other.
Yeah.
Whereas you wouldn't have this problem if they were coming out at different times and there was like, hey, House of Dragon is coming out and then it ends. And then, you know, oh, Rings of Power is coming out in 2 weeks. Like, true. Yeah, you're still high on you're still high on House of Dragon, But because that slate is done and you got the full story, now you're like you become more acceptant to something new. So that's one of the things that's been pissing me off a lot lately, is that I am fully into Rings of Power. I've been loving it a lot, and I love House of Dragon. I love both of them equally. They are both very different shows, and I'm okay with that. But I have been the consensus that I am hearing constantly over the last couple weeks is that, oh, House of Dragon is so much better, whatever. And it's like, yeah, it probably is. Like at the end of the day, like looking at it, House of Dragon is probably a better show right now. I won't say it's not. At the same time,
I would say, yeah, it is.
At the same time, Rings of Power is not a bad show, and like that's what's pissed me off is the people that are just like, oh, it's
you got to give it a chance. I mean, you can't talk about Rings of Power and just say that it's trash without checking it out. At least the first 2 episodes. I mean, because the first episode was like, you know what, it's cool, I'll continue watching, but maybe something will happen. Episode 2 is where I was sold. I'm like, dude, I'm into the dwarfs. I'm into there was something else that happened. The stranger, he's got some really cool vibes and mystery surrounding him. I will say though that I did check out episode 3, and I don't know if it was just because of my mental state or I was fatigued or something, but I couldn't get into it, which is a shame because it looked like there's some cool stuff going down, like in Numenor, and this captain that he's got a purpose now. I can't really recall the episode, but episode 2 I was hooked.
Is the Sildor's so the captain is the guy
there's some cool stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, giving it it's due. Like giving it the opportunity to be like, all right, you know what? 2 episodes in, where do I fall? And then
the other half of it is like, I can trash She-Hulk because I've watched She-Hulk and I don't care for it. Like I can say that because I've seen it. I've watched it. I've checked it out.
Exactly. So that's where I've been kind of annoyed because like I think, and honestly, like at the end of the day, I think this is the biggest issue. And I honestly, this is kind of how I feel about this right now. It's like Game of Thrones, no matter how annoying season 8 was, has stuck in the conversation of the zeitgeist of culture.
Yeah.
Since then. People still have talked about that season. Like it is very like stuck in people's minds. So then when House of Dragon got announced, there was no pause. There was no time in between. The problem with Lord of the Rings is that the Hobbit films were so bad.
I don't hear good things. I've not seen them personally. So
they're not good. They're also not terrible. Like the last one is terrible, honestly, in my opinion. The first one is actually good, but that's because
Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah, the Battle of the Five Armies just garbage. But that's the point. Is like it was one of those series that people were like, "Oh, this sucks," but then it was instantly forgotten, like easily forgettable. So it was like people stopped thinking about it, and like every once in a while you brought it up, and they're like, "Oh, those weren't great movies." But like that was it. That was the most that people had that conversation. So then when Rings of Power came out, the problem with Rings of Power was also the god awful press that they had, like trying to hype this show up like so bad. And so I think in a lot of ways it was just like people, like, unless you've read the books, you're not gonna probably be excited about that about the show.
You know what's interesting about you kind of are hitting at something I'd like to touch upon as well. Is like that's a good point. Both of these shows coming out at the same time. It's fascinating to compare the two, but also to see which one is in the public image more, because they both started out in sort of a similar place. You mentioned the Hobbit films were not well received by fans or critics, right? So that kind of is a ding against Rings of Power. There was also a lot of political discourse around it because of the diversity hires in the elf cast and all this stuff. And then there was the same problem same problems with House of the Dragon, because seasons 7 through 8 not well received by fans or critics. It's trashed upon all the time for being rushed, poorly written, bad ending. Like, that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. So people are not super stoked on Game of Thrones going into House of the Dragon. You also have the wokeness and the diversity stuff, which is like big discourse. Say what you will about it. I disagree. I think it's fine. But like that, those are two things that are weighing against both shows going into this season. And now they're both out, and it's like, which one are you kind of leaning towards? And it's fun and interesting to talk about that in any sense. But
yeah, I honestly think
I'll say too that in Lord of the Rings, the elf that we're following throughout the Southlands, like he's put into captivity by the orcs. That's a great story, and I'm loving that character. You know, like he's probably one of the best parts of the series.
One of the things I will say, because I know you haven't watched episode 4, so we're not going to talk about it. One of the things I will say is episode 4 is good. Like,
really pops off. Nice.
Episode 4 puts all the pieces you're like, okay, now I know where we're going. Like, this is where it's leading. Puts a lot, like the end of episode 3 puts a lot of the pieces together, and then episode 4 does it, because also it name drops a couple of things, because they keep calling it the Southlands. They've started naming specific places, and you realize that the Southlands is Mordor. Because one of the cool things that they actually show, this isn't a spoiler because it's just a name of a place, is Osgiliath. It's the place in Lord of the Rings that is the deserted town before, in front of Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
That Faramir and Boromir have their like big fight, and Boromir wins, and then his dad's like, hey, there's this whole rings of power, this whole fellowship thing, you need to go to Rivendell, and that whole thing. So like they're name dropping, and it's like oh crap, this is what's going to turn into Mordor. That's why this is important.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That got me hyped. I'm like, they're transforming this land for.
So then you start seeing those pieces
to reside here. It's like, that's
and I think
Mordor. Like, wow, awesome.
I think that's where these two shows differ. House of Dragon has really just jumped in full send and really just started off. All right, here's boom, boom, boom. Here's how we're doing it, and a lot of that is thanks to them time jumping a little bit. It allows us to get through a lot of the setup very quickly and also then add on top of that.
Yes.
Whereas Rings of Power is taking very much more okay, we are going to set these stones up style, and that's okay. Like, that's okay to have those two different styles. I think because we got House of Dragon first, I think people were used to the way House of Dragon was telling their story, and then they got Rings of Power, and it's a very much more laid back, much more slow burn, and they weren't like, honestly, I'm not really here for the slow burn. So that's kind of where I'm at. Honestly, diversity casts in both of these shows does not matter for crap.
Bro, like that's what I'm saying, dude. Some of these actors that they've got are the best parts of the show. Corlys Velaryon, dope character, man.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. I thought both of these shows were going to struggle with that, because we live in a day and age where that focus becomes like the whole freaking story. In House of Dragon, the Valerians, there's nothing to the Valerians. They are the Valerians. It doesn't matter that they're black or not. They're just the Valerians. They don't act differently because they're black. They don't act differently because they're a different color or race. They don't act differently. They are just, hey, this is the character and this is how it goes. This is how we're playing it.
For sure.
Awesome. Perfect. I have the issue with diversity casting has always been that they make that the sole focus, and not the actual storytelling. So the fact that especially in House of Dragon right now, the fact that they are focused more on the storytelling than like, oh my god, we have to push our diversity cast.
No,
that's awesome. Same thing with Rings of Power. Honestly, especially because of how they promote this show and how they like ramped up their whatever. I cannot.
Their marketing campaign.
Thank you, marketing campaign. My brain is dying on me currently, folks. Because of how they handled their marketing campaign, I was like, well, this show's gonna suck. This is gonna be we're gonna focus way too much. And like, no, the elf he's an elf. He acts like an elf just because his skin is darker. It does not matter. And it literally doesn't impede the story. It doesn't add to the story. It is just this character. And honestly, this actor is playing it really well. And then Disa, the dwarven princess, is dope. She's a great character.
She's pretty good.
Like fine. You know what? Like at the end of the day, like fine. We're not gonna have dwarven women have beards. Fine. I honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care that much.
That's kind of like
I don't care that much. But she is a great actor. She's playing it very cool, very well. She's holding her own against, acting with the actor who plays Elrond, the guy who plays Durin. It's great.
Durin,
it works. It makes sense. They're not like all like, oh hey, anytime we're around the dwarves, Disa's the main character. That's not the focus. It's just, hey, this is a character in this world. And then here's the story we're going to tell, and she'll pop in and out of that story based on what her role in that story is. And so also season 4 has an amazing scene of her, or episode 4 has an amazing scene of her singing, and it's just like mind-blowing. Really cool. So yeah. So at the end of the day, both of these diversity castings, people just watch the show. Like if seriously. And I know because clickbaiting and everything is real, but seriously, if you saw the marketing campaigns for either of these shows and someone got all up in arms about the diversity casting, and that's why you're not watching the show, put that aside and watch the shows.
Formulate your own opinions. Yeah,
exactly. Go in and watch the show on your own.
Another franchise that has this problem is Star Wars. It is September 21st now, as of this recording, which means we are officially in Andor season.
I have not watched the episodes.
No, I know. And we talked about this briefly. Is like I've only had the opportunity to check out the first episode because Disney Plus did this thing where they released the first 3 episodes to get you hooked.
How long are they?
And then they'll release the other ones weekly, on a weekly basis. I managed to check out the first episode. It's cool. It's great. It feels like a very higher quality than things like Kenobi or Book of Boba Fett.
Nice.
I don't think it's as strong as The Mandalorian because that's just a solid idea. But so far, like, yeah. And you mentioned a slow burn with like the Rings of Power and stuff, and a story that really lets its narrative shine on its own. Like it doesn't need references to the Sith or the Jedi or lightsabers, or it doesn't need any of that to be great because it's just a solid character, solid premise, and really interesting things going on. And it's building its own legacy, which I really appreciate. And
exciting. No, I'm excited to check that out.
But in that way, it's not flashy, right? There's no grand space battles. There's no lightsaber clashes. There's barely even like people don't even like exchange blaster fire that often, which is why I'm kind of tentatively calling it like the Game of Thrones of Star Wars, right? Because it's more about the interpersonals and the communications.
Winter Soldier of Star Wars.
Yeah, sort of something like that. I imagine all that stuff's coming because I've seen the promotional materials and all the trailers and stuff. There's some crazy things on the way.
Whitaker is back, which that's probably the only reason I want to watch this show.
I mean, like all that really cool flavor you got with Rogue One and those interesting characters that they introduced haven't really been in anything since Rogue One, which was like in 2016 maybe. But
those people
they're
died.
bringing those guys back, and I love it.
It's because most of those people died in Rogue One. That was
well, yeah, they're all dead, but like you could do some prequel stuff, or I think at one point in the comics, actually, Luke and Leia visit Jeddah after it was destroyed by the Death Star, right? So the Death Star like lit up the Jeddah city, and that's part of the film, right? They have to evade the super laser and all that, and Jeddah is just absolutely the whole planet. Although it was like a single fire burst and like a less powerful version of the super laser, like it wasn't planet destroying, but it destroyed the planet because of the damage that it did. It's just a dying planet, it's just bleeding lava, and the core is melting into the galaxy, and Luke is like, what happened here? There's this Jeddah, which was once a place teeming with like the positive, like the good, the light side of the Force, is now a dark side nexus because it's just bleeding coal.
Oh,
and it's destroyed.
That's cool.
Luke is like, this place is really bad. Like, and the people who are still on the planet, surprisingly, like anybody, I don't know how anybody survives in a place like that, but it's just war torn. It's the apocalypse. All hell's broken loose. So Jeddah is not a great place.
That's cool. But, that's really cool. I'm interested to watch the show. We've talked about this. Other than Mandalorian, I really do not care about Star Wars right now.
No, me too. It's all about Game of Thrones right now for me, baby. Even
then, like I actually really liked Solo, or not Solo. Gosh,
love Solo. Solo's great.
No,
I'm a Solo apologist.
Yeah, you better be apologizing for making me watch that movie.
No, dude, you don't understand. It gets better every time I watch it.
Kenobi. Sorry, I actually really liked Kenobi.
No, I won't defend Kenobi.
But yeah, I'm interested to see it. Yeah, one of the things, it's funny because Joe, House of Dragon, has really reignited his love for Game of Thrones. Yes, and he just binged through the Game of Thrones again and has been like talking about reading the books again. Whereas Rings of Power has really reignited my love for Lord of the Rings again, and has me reading the Silmarillion right now, which is a lot of what the story is, a lot of where the story that they're getting Rings of Power is from. It's from that and the Untold Tales. But yeah, it's fun. I'm really excited that these shows are pulling people back into those fandoms that they love and wanting them to re-dive into those fandoms. And so that's why I think that's also why it kind of bums me out when like people talk crap on Rings of Power, because there hasn't really been anything bad in Rings of Power that's like, oh, this kind of is a crappy show. Like when that happens, I have no problem being like, yeah, I'm kind of going to be an apologist for this show. But like at this point, like nothing in this show has like shown it to be a bad show. And so the people that are kind of crapping on it are like kind of crapping on it for no reason, in my opinion. Obviously there are some reasons, and I totally get that. I understand like the differences between the two shows. And I'm like, for me, I'm just like, hey, you know what? Both of these are two fandoms that I really enjoy. And it actually has me, House of Dragon 2 has me wanting to go back and reread the books, because I got through the first 3 and then I stopped. And if I start after the third one, I feel like I'm going to not understand what's going on. And so I think I need to re-go through the last one.
You mentioned the books. Speaking of Game of Thrones books, do you know who shares my... there's actually 2 really big names. George R.R. Martin shares my birth date, or rather, I share George R.R. Martin's birth date. Nice. The other guy is John Bernthal, the Punisher himself.
Shane from The Walking Dead. Dude.
Those are 2 fantastic names to share a birthday with. And
actually, there's funny. I started rewatching Walking Dead recently.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But like
my coworker, actually, we were talking about this because like they celebrated my birthday and stuff, but I was like, dude, who do you share a birthday with? I'm just curious. Like you can look that up pretty easily. And he had a big name too. I'm almost jealous. Hayden Christensen shares his birthday with my coworker at work, which is Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, anybody can find that information out. You just type like celebrity birthdays today or whatever, and you find that out pretty easily. Russ, is that going to do it with our podcast today, man? Do we have any other topics to talk about? I think we got through everything.
I think it does it. I guess I share a birthday with Steve Jobs and Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Oh, like Floyd Mayweather's son?
Interesting. I guess. Interesting.
I guess.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Steve Jobs.
Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode. Again, we covered a lot today, and so jump in the comments, talk to us, let us know what you think of House of Dragon. Let us know what you think of Rings of Power. I really want to have a conversation.
Let us know what celebrity shares your birthday.
Yeah, exactly. In the comments, put the date of your birthday and what celebrities,
Yes,
what celebrity,
happy early or late birthday, depending on what you write.
But yeah, with that, guys, have a great rest of your week, and we will catch you next week.
Bye, guys.
Later.